If you're planning on riding Steel Vengeance or Twisted Timbers at Cedar Point or Kings Dominion within the next few weeks, or probably for the next few years, you'll notice a certain policy that has recently been put in place as of when this video is being made. It can be recognized by a large sign that says, "No phones are allowed on your person while in line or on the ride." So, therefore, you must put your phone in a locker, which you have to pay for, and if they catch you in line with it, they will ask you to leave, because they will not let you on the ride with your phone. It's a pretty self-explanatory rule, and there's good reasoning for why it's there. And the answer is simple: safety. Safety is always the #1 priority, and the fact of the matter is that there were some incidents on Twisted Timbers involving riders getting hit with flying phones from people's pockets. They were injured, and so Cedar Fair said we have to do something about it, so let's cut out phones completely so that riders cannot physically ride with their phone. So, as you are entering the lines, you'll be notified by ride ops that you cannot have any phones in your pockets. They will ask you if you have a phone on you, tell you where you can go put it. However, they will not physically pat you down for your phone. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen a policy like this, because anyone who's been to Six Flags Great Adventure in the past few years will notice that we have something similar with El Toro and King de Ka. And it's my understanding that they've also expanded this to a few other rides in the park, but it really just started with El Toro and King de Ka, where it was the same thing. People were getting hit by flying phones, and so they cut out phones completely. Only at Great Adventure, it was a lot more strict. There were security guards there that if it looks like you had a phone in your pocket, they will ask you to reach into your pocket and squeeze. And the reason for squeezing is because when you squeeze your pocket, it will clearly outline the phone there. So they don't have to pat you down, but it is a way for them to identify that you do have a phone in your pocket. And of course, if they catch you in line with the phone, they will kick you out. So I'm not sure how strict Cedar Fair is going to be with this. I imagine they will ask you to leave the ride. Even if you are in the seat and they can tell that you have a phone, they will make you not ride because you have to put your phone in a locker. However, I think there is a better way of going about this. I understand where they are coming from. They have a problem and they need to solve it. However, there are definitely some drawbacks to this policy. Anyone who considers themselves a photographer or just doesn't like being bored in lines will appreciate having their phone because they can take pictures from the queue line, which if you've ridden Twisted Timbers or Steel Vengeance, then you know that there are lots of great photo ops in the queue line. And especially with a ride like Steel Vengeance that has been getting consistent 2-hour waits, it might be nice to have your phone. This policy means that you cannot get shots like these, and I don't think that's exactly ideal. However, I'm not here to rant. I want to help. So, Cedar Fair, if you are listening, I hope that you will buckle that seatbelt and pull down on your lap bar because I am here to offer some other possible solutions. I do not expect any of these to actually happen. I imagine the same exact policy will be adapted to many other rides in the chain, maybe all coasters in the park going forward. But I think there are some better options. Because let's be frank, as much as it sucks to not be able to have your phone with you in line, there's an even bigger problem. Cedar Fair, you are making people pay for a locker to put your phone in, even when some riders have cargo shorts with button or zipper pockets in which your phone will not be flying out of. I've ridden over 500 roller coasters across the world, and every time I ride one, I have pockets that are very secure that I keep my phone in, and there has never been an issue. Obviously, not every rider has this option. However, I do not think it is fair to make those riders pay for a locker when they have proper shorts where you will not be able to have your phone fly out of your pocket. Now, I do understand that there is not exactly a direct way to solve this. Yes, you could have the ride operators allow people with those type of shorts to pass through, and if they don't have those proper shorts, then you can tell them to put it in a locker. However, that may be a little tedious, and so I understand why they're making it a blanket statement where everyone has to do it. So here's your solution. You don't make people pay for lockers. The reason why people don't want to put their phones in a locker is because they think that it is going to be safe in their pocket and they don't want to fork over the money to put there when they know it is going to be fine in their pocket. Whether it actually is fine in their pocket, that's still left to be said. But people are looking at this whole thing as a money grab, not a safety concern. If the lockers were free and it's a short line, I don't think anyone would have an issue putting their phone in a locker. But because people wearing cargo shorts would have to put their phones in a locker and pay $2 every time they want to ride Steel Vengeance, either A, they won't want to ride the ride as much, or they're going to try and negate safety and bring it on anyways. And I don't think either of those options are very good. So instead of making this sound like a money grab, make it about safety. You tell people that this is a safety concern. We are offering free lockers for you to go put your stuff in, and you will have significantly less issues. And then also less guest complaints anytime someone tries to sneak a phone in and then gets mad when they get kicked out of line. So having the lockers free, that would definitely satisfy a lot of guests, maybe not everyone, but it may not be the most ideal for Cedar Fair because they're probably going to lose some money that they spent paying for those lockers when they don't charge for them. So how do you do that? I say it's simple. I say you raise ticket prices $1 or $2, and now there aren't as many issues with people trying to sneak their phones in because they can put it in a quote-unquote free locker. It's not free, but they're thinking it's free because they don't realize they already paid for it. And you can make it as simple as guests use their park ticket. You scan the park ticket, a locker pops open, you put in your stuff, and that speeds up the process. And I know that will work because they do that exact same thing at Europa Park and it worked beautifully. And Europa Park is smart because they did not have that at the entrance to the ride. They had that in the queue line so that you were actually waiting in the queue line during the long portion and you can have your phone, and then when it gets to a certain point, you go in and you put your stuff in the free locker using your scanned park ticket, and then those lockers are actually double-sided and it connects with the exit, so then you just scan your ticket again and that same locker pops back open. Now that would require a couple of different things. First of all, you would need to reroute the queue line and the exit to where they met at the same point so that you could have those lockers. And I'm not suggesting that they do that for Twisted Timbers and Steel Vengeance because I understand that that would be very costly and it wouldn't really make much sense. So I think that that option would be much better for coasters that they plan on constructing in the future. So that policy may not be a direct solution at the moment. However, I imagine this policy will be going for a lot of different coasters down the line, and I think that is a totally fine solution. And maybe something along the same lines is you can have a different system involving wristbands. This is another policy we see a lot in Europe. We see it at Efteling with Baron 1898, Alton Towers with Wickerman, and Heidi Park with Crake. You'll wait in the longest part of the queue, and then at a certain point, you give a person standing there your bag, and they put it in a bin and exchange it with a wristband. That wristband has a number on it, and it coincides with the bin number that your bags were placed in, and then when you get off the ride, you can get your bag and your phone safely returned to you. It is another free system that is a great solution to lockers. It honestly surprised me that none of the European parks have lockers, and I was wondering how they deal with all these issues. And it's because they have figured out other solutions to go about this so that you don't have to worry about guests sneaking on loose articles. They figured it out, and a lot of parks in America have not. I am surprised that we have not seen this anywhere in the US, and I don't think anyone would complain if it were brought over here. Sure, it may not be the most ideal because you would have to staff several people there, so that does mean hiring a few extra associates, so there would be some cost to that. However, to me, that sounds a lot cheaper than having to pay for all of those lockers they just bought, and it's definitely cheaper than having to pay for the lawsuit when someone got hit in the face, and this way you also get guest satisfaction. And then the final way, and this one personally is my favorite, is if we are going to see Cedar Fair enforce a no phone in line policy, then it's probably no time in which we will be seeing metal detectors. Now, I personally am not a fan of metal detectors. I would rather just be able to have my phone in line with me, but the way I see it, either way, we're not going to be able to have our phone in line with us, and this way you don't get people sneaking theirs on. I say this is my favorite option, not because of how strict it is. It is strict, but either way, you're getting a strict policy. I say this is my favorite because of what you can do with it. The way Universal has it set up is it is at the entrance to the queue line, but what if you didn't have it at the entrance to the queue line? What if you combined this with Europa Park's option and you had this in conjunction with free lockers after you've waited in all of these switchbacks? This to me is the most ideal system because it does not seem like a money grab. You understand that it is for safety, and so you don't get that many complaints. To me, this is the most practical solution, but in my opinion, it's not even the best. The best is, wait for it, just have bins on the ride platforms. It's not that hard. A lot of people say it's to speed up dispatches, and it is, but can someone please tell me then why Europa Park has bins on all of the ride platforms and every single dispatch is in less than a minute, many in 30 seconds? If they can do it, so can Cedar Point. So I realized this was kind of long, so to just kind of wrap things up, I think that Cedar Fair, they have the right idea. They want to be able to make sure that no one is getting hit in the face with a phone. However, I do not think the execution of this policy is the best. I think there are better solutions. The solution they came up with seems like the cheap option. They said, oh, we already have these lockers, let's just make everyone put their phone in a locker. And I don't think they necessarily realized how that might come across. If you really want to make it about safety, just make the lockers free. And there may be solutions that I did not mention. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below what you think of this, and if you agree with anything I've said, and if you have any other ideas for how they could solve this problem. Prevent phones from flying out of your pocket while also satisfying guests and not making them pay a couple dollars to put a phone in a locker, when the whole point of traveling bagless to an amusement park is so that you can avoid a locker. But these days, everyone needs to have a phone on them. That's going to be how you're going to reach your loved ones, entertain yourself in line, and take pictures. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in line when I needed to message someone in the park to let them know where I was. If I was stuck in Steel Vengeance's line and I didn't have that capability, I'm not quite sure what I would do. So again, I really want to help. I hope that if anyone from Cedar Fair sees this, they don't take this the wrong way, because I really do think that there is a better solution out there. I just want to be able to help find it. So those are my thoughts on the recent policy to Steel Vengeance and Twisted Timbers. However, it also applies to any coaster that has a similar policy, and any coaster in the future they'll be getting this policy. So I want to thank you for watching this. Again, I'd love to hear your input down below. And of course, you can stay tuned for more content here at Coaster Studios. Thank you for watching.